Good morning. My name is Shondell Newsom, the founder of Some New Marketing, and we're here at the Chamber University analyze that how to get customer feedback to help your business. I want to start you with a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is the basic premise for helping customers and getting feedback to help your business. So with that, we're going to go into talking a little bit about today's agenda. But before we do that, something new. We say that building a solid customer relationship starts with being honest with yourself. Be honest with your brand. Where does it fit into the customer's life? Your product. Why is it important to the customer? Not so much important to you, but we're going to make sure that without a doubt, that the product is always customer focused. Keep that in mind when you're developing a solid customer relationship. And then finally, the customer, what can they expect out of you? And most great brands or most great companies focus on managing expectations. And I think that's a key component to building a solid customer relationship through building what we call brand champions. And we're going to talk a little bit about brand champions as we go through. I want you to understand today's agenda. Why is customer feedback so important for a business? Some people always, when I do a lot of workshops and do a lot of seminars, people always say that. They say, well, I'm going to be great at customer service. Now, what does that really mean? And I think it's overused and overplayed. So we have to really think about that customer feedback when you're talking about customer service. Then how can a business collect information and use it to improve business operations? Typically, people know how to collect information, but they also know how to store or hoard information. They don't use it properly or use it to help with developing or growing their business operations. And then what are the best questions to ask? People always ask a lot of questions. This morning, I was working on a survey, and I thought the survey was way too long. And what's funny is that most of the questions didn't even apply to me. So I like to do a lot of shopping and doing surveys just to see if people understand how to get into my brain and how the questions pertain to me. And then I'm going to talk about how to incorporate the results of customer feedback into your company's growth plan. So a robust agenda, but I promise to get it all through it within this 30-minute session. So here's one thing I want you to clearly understand as a business owner. Loyal customers create cash flow. Say that with me. Loyal customers create cash flow. How about one more time? Loyal customers create cash flow. The best businesses in the world know this, live this, breathe this, and they have it somewhere. Loyal customers must become brand champions. And the reason I say they must become brand champions, that's a step up from what a customer is. A customer most of the time is transactional. A loyal customer is a champion for your business, right? They will purchase your brand first. They always recommend your brand. They will definitely, without a doubt, be a defender of your brand. As a marketing director in the gaming and hospitality industry, one of the things that we focused on was creating brand champions. Those are people that would walk around with our player's card in their pocket just like it was a Visa card. And one of the reasons that was extremely important to us is because we knew at that point that they have become loyal brand champions. They will always bring their family to our place to watch the movies, to play games, to get rooms. They would always recommend us. And that's an easy way to create cash flow, because that means that those folks are coming without you even trying anymore. They are your friends. They are your champions, and they go out and they make sure that your brand is top of mind. So that's huge when you're talking about why it's important for you to get that feedback. Loyal brand champions create cash flow. You can count on them for regular purchases. You can count on them to tell others to buy your brand. You can count on them for cash flow out of their own pocket. So most of the time, people don't understand that what they're trying to do is they're working too hard instead of working smarter. Working smarter means that you're going to develop this relationship to the point where loyalty comes first. So here's what I want you to understand. How do you develop loyalty? The first thing is you have to have empathy. Empathy is way different than sympathy. Empathy means that you're going to put yourself in your customer's shoes. You're going to ask them first how they feel. Don't wait until they tell you how they feel. Ask them how they feel. Think about it from this perspective. Those of you that are married, is it better for you to wait until your wife asks you, how do I look? How do you see me? Or is it better to say, hey, honey, I think you look great. Hey, I think you're wonderful. Or, hey, honey, how do you feel? That is the way that you develop a relationship. Having empathy is a major part of first developing that relationship. Ask them what makes them feel what makes them feel that way. When you say, how do you feel? Oh, I feel happy. What makes you feel happy? Why are you happy right now? Ask them what you can do to make them feel happy. Always stay focused on the emotions of your customers. Put yourself in their shoes. How do you want to feel when you walk into that restaurant, when you get your car detailed, when you go into that gas station, you go into that dry cleaners? How do you want people to feel? Understand, because one day somebody sat in a workshop and they said, you talk about the Starbucks brand. I said, do you know the Starbucks brand is interesting because in most places they kick you out. If you don't buy anything, they were like, oh, you got to get up out of here. What are you doing here? Why are you sitting here? What are you sitting here? You sitting here for 6 hours and you haven't bought anything? Because their focus is more on the experience and how people feel than it is actually selling coffee. By the way, we have coffee too, right? So that is the difference between folks who understand empathy versus those who sometimes have sympathy. And I will implore to you that psychographics is way more important than demographics in this example. You are dealing with your customers' beliefs, their emotions, and really getting deep in touch with your customer. You're not dealing so much with the outer appearance. You're not dealing with whether they're African American, Hispanic, or whatever. You're dealing more much deeper than that. You're dealing in a space where you're being a little bit invasive. So when you'll see later when you ask those questions, you have to be a little bit invasive and you have to let them know, I'm doing this because I want to do this. I want to be better for you. I want to serve you better. I want to take care of you better. So having empathy is a major part of developing good customer service. So some people say, how do I ask? How do I ask the question? There are a couple of ways, and some people call this old school. I'm a little bit old school, and I got a little bit of new school in me, but how about this? How about this novel idea with all the technology in the world and everything that's going on? How about going to visit your customer? Wow. How about getting in a car, driving down the street, pulling up in their driveway, coming with some donuts and coffee and saying, I just want to see how you're doing. I'll tell you what, that sends a loud message, and guess what? It separates you from everybody else. How about you invite your customers to your place of business? hey, let's just sit down and chat. Let's just shoot the breeze. Let's just shoot pool. Let's do something, right? Because you have now taken them off guard. Because everybody sends an e-blast, right? Everybody shoots the Survey Monkeys and the MailChimps and all that kind of stuff. How about a person actually talking to another person? Now, you might say that's old school, but I can guarantee you get great results by just sitting there looking at a person and going back to what we were talking about before. You can read their emotions. You can get a better understanding of their beliefs just by sitting there having a conversation with them. How about that? And then you still can use some of the new methods, talking online with electronic surveys, social media, and open forums. I think those are great tools. So I wouldn't say get rid of those tools or don't be old school. Mix a little old school with a little new school, and you will be a lot better for that. Trust me on that. So how do I ask? I say mix it up. You know, talk to a person. And sometimes the electronic means work too. And depending on what audience you're talking to, some will like other methods better than the others, right? So I just think, that's the big thing for me. So what do I ask? Ask a few questions. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? So many people hate to ask the question, what am I doing wrong? Well, there are a lot of things that you can actually be doing wrong to upset someone. So go back to the example I talked about with your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and think about it for a minute. Is there something that I'm doing that's just not set right with you? Is there something that bugs you? Do I leave that toilet seat up just a little bit too much, right? Ask that question. And most small businesses and business owners in general hate to ask that question. They always want to ask, what am I doing right? Ask also, what am I doing wrong? Because then you can get into those, and again, you can display empathy with that customer. Ask them the question, how can I do better for you? How do you like me now? Right? Because sometimes people ask that question when you first have a meal at their establishment or you first purchase a product, but they never do a follow-up. They never say, hey, how do you like me now? Do you still like me? Do you still love me? Or do I need to ask that other question? Is there something I'm doing? Is there something I'm just not doing to meet your needs? And that's basic relationship, asking those questions. And so you don't have to get super creative. Don't overthink this. It goes back to empathy. It's all about empathy. It's all about putting yourself in the other person's shoes. I do that all the time. I truly believe in that. And it has saved me multiple accounts because what most people do is they wait until the client is really irate. They wait until it mounts up. And it throws my clients off. It's like, you're asking me already? Yeah, I want to know. Oh, well, last week what I didn't like was when you did this. Oh, okay. Well, then you have an opportunity to fix it, right? So my final point on what do you ask, be proactive with your questions. Be very proactive. Don't be reactive. Don't wait until a problem occurs or a situation occurs, and then you turn around and say, hey, I got to react to that. Don't wait till somebody's real mad. Catch them off guard. Catch them when they're in the mood to tell you everything that can help the relationship. So here's what's interesting. People ask, the key. What's the key to building the loyal brand champion using feedback? Ask the customer because you really, really care. Don't ask because you want more money. Don't ask because you have a hidden agenda. Ask them because you really care. And don't take it for granted that you've had a customer for a long time, right? Just like in a marriage, again, it's ask them if you really, ask them that question. Hey, because you really care. Right? Don't ask because Shondell told you or somebody else told you. Ask because you care. Listen attentively with a caring ear. You keep hearing that word care. You have to care. If you don't care, why are you in business, right? Communicate the fact that you care. Most people don't communicate that they care about their customers. That's why they have a challenge, because they say vain questions. They have vain questions. They just pull something off of the internet and say, I'm going to ask these questions. Ask real questions that will be that show in the question that you care. Don't go all over the place and try to pick up these templates. Ask questions. Hey, Bob, last week we fixed your carburetor. Did we do a good job, Bob? Is that carburetor work? Is there something else I can do for you, Bob? Just ask that question because you care, right? Create your company to care about customers. Isn't that a novel idea, right? Create your company because you really do care about your customers. There is a myth out there that, most small business owners and entrepreneurs are very, very selfish people. I would say we're selfless people. We go into every venture because we care about customers, because we want to do something that is going to alter and change their life for the better. We have to care like that. All of those, what I call wantrepreneurs, and all of these imitators of businessmen, they may be a little selfish. So don't let that be the norm. Make sure that you ask them that question. Do you really care about me when you're a customer? Ask that question. I talk about this all the time, is that when people ask me on the phone, I paid my Cox bill one day, and the guy said to me, he said, hey, you've been a customer for like 25 years. We care about you. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And he didn't just read it off the script. He brought it with emotion, right? Because he said, you know why I care about you? And this is where he threw me off. He said, I care about you because without you, I can't do my job. Without you, I'm not in customer service. Without you, I can't feed my family. And I was like, wow, he took it there. So that's what I mean when you say you really care, right? Loyal customers create cash flow because you care about them. That's the real reason they create cash flow. They don't do it because they're trying to just help you out. They're doing it because you have displayed the affection that you care, right? And you do that by understanding where they're coming from. So here's the bottom line. The bottom line is the bottom line. And some people, when I say the bottom line, they go immediately to the amount of dollars, the EBITDA, the net income, and all of that. I said the bottom line is the bottom line. The bottom line is that your company exists because of your customer. It doesn't exist to make you rich. It doesn't exist because you're trying to put your kids through college. It exists because of your customer. Now, the byproduct is you can make some money and you can take care of your family and all that. But the main reason and the bottom line is this: your company exists because of your customer. Your business plan should be customer focused. Your marketing plan should be developed on customer beliefs. Now, most people, they're like, oh no, your marketing plan should be developed to communicate and do all that. Well, think about this. What are you communicating? And who are you communicating to? You're communicating to your customer. Your customer has to believe that you care in your messaging. Those are the winning businesses. Those are the winning brands. People feel and talk emotionally about the winning brands. They love their cars. They love their soap detergent. Who loves detergent? I love my Tide. I love this. I love that. People talk like that in an emotional way because they believe in something. And that's what you have to do from a standpoint of understanding when you talk about the bottom line, right? Your growth plan should be based on customer feedback. What do you mean, Shonda? Well, what I mean is when you think about growing your business, the only way you're going to grow your business is, one, if you can do what? Retain your customers. And most people in business focus on getting new customers. They do not focus on customer retention. So what's happening here? You have this boat with a hole in it, and you're trying to take water, you're throwing water out of the boat, but this hole, everything's going through. And so you have to understand that your growth plan should always be based on getting feedback from your customer. And that feedback should always be proactive. You have to first engage people and try it someday. Just try this. When you walk up to people and give them a compliment, watch how they act. Or when you walk up to somebody and you sincerely say, "How are you feeling today?" Not the, "Hey, hiya," that quick. How are you feeling today? How are things going in your life today? What can I do to help? That's true customer feedback. It's not just asking random questions or template questions. And that's when I always get kind of frustrated as a marketer, because sometimes people want to use templates. Develop questions that are going to be straight there for your customer, for your customer's psychographics, for their beliefs and what they feel, right? The other thing is, as you look at this, I just believe that the best companies out there have a caring spirit. I always hire people who care about other people. I don't hire so much on the person who is just so brilliant that they feel like I can't do without them. I hire people who, quite frankly, are spiritual people who care about other people. And that's how I think people should think about customers. I know that it's not the technical or any technical advice that you're receiving today, but I do hope that you walk away with this. We started with Teddy Roosevelt. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People will only ask your advice or want something from you if they know you care about it, right? Nobody likes the egghead that is just spouting out statistics, right? Nobody likes that person. They like the person that can spout statistics that mean something to them, that they have an emotional draw to. So think about this as you go through your day, your weekend, as you go through your life and your business. Loyal customers who I call brand champions, they create the cash flow. It's not you. It's not your employees. It's those loyal customers. Your bookkeeper just counts the cash flow, right? Your accountant just, analyzes your cash flow. But these customers, without these loyal customers, without these brand champions, there is no cash flow. Remember, empathize. Don't sympathize, because that is a demeaning thing. Empathize with your customers. Ask them how they feel. How do you feel, customer? How are you feeling today? Ask the right questions. Don't use templates. Ask the questions that you know your customers care about and that display that you really care about them. And more importantly than anything in the world, be proactive. Don't wait until somebody just blows up. And I've seen that so many times through businesses. And I said, why did you wait until that customer started complaining when you already knew they had an issue? Why did you watch something implode and explode because you didn't want to be proactive? Why are you asking them how they feel on the back end Why are you not asking them on the front end so you could do something about it? We have saved so many clients and hundreds of thousands of dollars by being proactive. And it's a hard thing for people when they come work for us because they're like, Shondell, why don't we wait till, they don't have a problem? Why are you trying to create a problem? I said, I'm not trying to create a problem. I want to know if they have any issues right now, especially when you get a new client. When you get a new client, take the time to spend more time with them. Don't be afraid to ask that question. Don't be afraid that you're going to get a bad review or whatever it is. Look at it as an opportunity to build a relationship and make them better. Okay? So those are the keys to what I see. Is I really, really believe that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So with that, I'm prepared to take questions if that's allowable. But you can see I'm on Facebook, Twitter. I love to tweet. So if you want to tweet me something, that's fine too. And our website is www.somnewmarketing.com. And again, I'm Shondell Newsome. Last year we won the Family-Owned Business of the Year for the state of Nevada with the SBA. And I think the primary reason is we love our customers and we care. And I think that's the major point. Thank you very much. Any questions?
If you want to ask a question, you can type it into the chat box in the bottom left corner of the screen, or you can press *7 on your phone to unmute your line. We do have a couple of comments. Good stuff, and follow through results in a win-win situation.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for listening in. Just a reminder that if you do have any follow-up questions for Shondell, you can always direct them to all of these lovely social media sites on the webinar, or you can always give the Chamber a call and we can connect you to Shondell directly. I want to thank you so much for joining us today for Chamber University. Thank you to Shondell, and we hope to see you all next week for another Chamber U. Thank you.